Alright, so this is the look for tonight. I rented this dress from Newly, and what I really liked about it was just like the details up here, and it's got like a little cutout, and I normally wouldn't wear something like this, but I think maybe being pregnant, I'm just like, I don't care anymore. I'm gonna wear what I want to try. I like the little slit down here. I got a popsicle stick on the floor because of trash and shit. Anyway, so this is it. This is my 11-year anniversary look, and we're getting ready to head out. So my best friend Jess came over like around 4 o'clock. Totally forgot that she was gonna come by today because, well, I mean, I knew, but I just forgot. And she brought me these Rice Krispies from Claire Jane. So these are 25 milligrams per serving, Delta 8 Rice Krispies. And the store's in Nashville, you guys. You have to check her out. Alyssa is one of the owners, and she is honestly like just one of the nicest humans ever. So we're about to you want to wait? You want to check it out?
Sure, I know.
Okay.
I just don't want to like add something. It's just something that's heavier.
Okay, so are you taking?
The yellow birds are so pretty.
I know. We were talking about those on the way home today. You want a half?
I ate the whole thing.
What?
What?
I get a quarter.
Oh, is there only one in there?
Yeah.
Oh, weak.
Okay, well, I'll take a quarter and you can take 3/4.
No, just give me a half. Do half of it.
I don't want to eat a half, though.
I don't want to eat a. Okay, yeah, you do.
No, I don't.
Yeah, you do.
No,
just
I don't.
Just eat half. Don't be a baby.
Well, I'll save this one for later then.
Oh my god, eat half of it.
I don't want to.
Eat
I don't like to feel high when I'm around humans.
It's fucking CBD.
But it's got a little something, a little karate chop.
Okay.
On the plus side of that, it doesn't taste too like hempy, which I like.
A little bit. Yeah, it's hard with that stuff though, because
Let's see. It says suggested use if you haven't tried Delta 8 THC products, eat half. I'm assuming that they mean half a square, not half the Rice Krispie.
half a square? How many squares? What?
There's 4 squares, 4 pieces. So like one Rice Krispie is 4 pieces.
Oh, come on. Let me see this. Serving size is 1 piece.
One of my favorite memories is when we went to Vegas together back, gosh. What?
Vegas.
When was that?
Oh my god. 2017?
No. Was Ollie that little? I know Ollie was already here, so yeah. Yeah, okay, so Ollie was really small, maybe like 1.5 or 2. And I think Casey's mom watched her.
2017 or 2018. Vegas was not like it was the first Vegas, and that was not been, Vegas hadn't been like the first stop for a while.
Anyways, we went to Vegas, just the 2 of us, and these things don't happen very often.
No.
We went together and we went ham at all of the the cannabis shops there.
I was eating shit that you're supposed to smoke.
Oh my gosh.
And I got sick.
So we bought wax there, right? And like I didn't know, right? So it's in this syringe and I just put it in my mouth and it's all sticky like all over my teeth and stuff. I'm like, I don't get it, but it's like it was supposed to be wax that like you smoke.
But it said you could eat it.
Oh, it did say that.
Literally
okay.
on the package that
just
you could
making
also
sure I was not like that spacey. But anyways,
oh, this shit
it did not taste good. It stuck to my teeth. It was awful. But like we did have a lot of products there that were not very strong. Like I think they had like gummy rings. And I remember eating a lot of those gummy rings and not feeling anything. But then at the same time, you would eat the edibles and then you would smoke and you would just be lit.
It was hard to tell.
Like way too lit.
It was hard to tell what was what.
Like, I'm pretty sure one of those days I remember just be like, I'm going to bed. I'm done here. But that was a fun experience.
Oh man.
So I was not too excited about the menu for Husk tonight, but I'm certain that once we get there and we try whatever it is that we want to try, it's going to be delicious.
You can almost just order something and know that it's going to be like, get the fuck out of the way, man. People.
Okay, so you say that, but there's pig ears on the menu, and I just.
Tonight might be the night. We had a long conversation about that last time. Whether we were going to try them or not.
No!
Bullshit. Yes, we did.
No.
They had them on the menu last time.
Yes, they did. And they also have the beef tartare. You want to try that?
Fuck no. I
don't want to eat pig ears.
There's just certain things fully raw that I can't possibly fathom.
So I was thinking that in the car ride, you wouldn't mind doing a Q&A with me.
What kind of Q&A?
I don't know, just asking questions about our marriage over the last 11 years.
Ooh, okay. Fuck it.
Are you ready to play?
Huh?
Are you ready to play?
What are we playing? Okay.
If you could tell anything to your, how old are you when we, 25? You were 25?
Man, I don't know. And I literally have to do that.
Okay, so if you could tell anything to the version of yourself that you were right when we were getting married about what you know now, 11 years in, what would you tell them?
Wear a seatbelt.
What?
That's gold.
No, it isn't. That's very vague.
Wear it. Buckle up and wear a seatbelt because it's gonna be.
There's
bumpy.
gonna be a lot of animals.
Well, no, it's gonna be bumpy. It's been bumpy. No, that's right. It was supposed to be a joke, but she's taking me seriously.
Well, for me, the only thing that comes to mind is paintball, if that's what you mean, bumpy.
Paintball. Oh my goodness, really? And all that's my fault. That's not centered around stuff that I have to work on.
Paintball?
Yeah.
Speaking of paintball,
I'm gonna go play this Sunday.
Ollie has taken an interest in paintball.
Yes, and
he's actually really good for his age. And for considering the size of like the equipment and like
he's 5, and most kids don't start playing until they're like 8 or 9. And I really didn't think he'd be into it because he's my little sensitive. He's my sensitive dude. Like he just like me. Like I don't like getting hurt. But he's good. Yeah, he's got good form already for honestly he literally ran around in the backyard that one day.
Yeah.
And did drills and.
Oh, you'll have to send me the video of that so I can put it like in the clip so you guys can see how cute he is.
Look pretty solid.
So then the next day I had a thought to myself. I'm like, if Ollie took a serious interest in paintball, you better believe that I would be those paintball moms that are like driving their kids and flying their kids to all these tournaments and like there's so I've met a few of those moms over the years because there have been a lot of kids that Casey has played with that are like in their teens. And they're just like very quiet moms, just like they're like supporting their sons, like super cute. And every once in a while, like the whole family will be there to support them. And I'm like, I would absolutely be that mom for my son.
Well,
but my husband plays paintball and I'm like,
I fucking hate it. Yeah, it's awful. It's the worst thing. But I mean, I get it though. It's because the traveling, it sucks. Like
and
I don't even like the traveling. I don't like traveling at all. I travel because I enjoy to play, and that's just the way it is. That's the way the tournaments are. But
that I think has, for me, maybe I would have told myself to not feel so like insecure about that.
But it
because like yes, the aspect of like parenting alone when you're gone is really difficult, challenging.
Is it?
But for the first like 5 years though, it was really hard for me because I just felt like you were way more invested in paintball than you were in being like present in our marriage.
Yeah, but But I mean, that's also true, though. And to a degree, that's true. I mean, this is not, when I say bumpy, it's been a lot of work because we were not really like on that path of having babies and getting married. And I mean, what
do you think changes over the years then that like you continue to reinvest into that?
Well, I mean, we continue to grow, right? And I mean, at the very least, you have to be able to reflect and say, communication honestly has been the biggest thing that has made a difference in all of that. Being able to communicate the way that we feel.
Oh my God, could you go any fucking slower?
I mean, the people that drive around here just don't care. But I mean, being able to communicate and then like through all of that has been the biggest change, the best change. And we still have tons of room.
I think we struggle the most when we don't communicate.
Yeah, but I mean, that's like with you saying that you're gonna go thrifting tomorrow. Like, I don't give a shit if you go thrift tomorrow, but like, at least say, hey.
I was shocked to see the look he gave me.
I'm gonna go thrift. I'm like,
tell me, and I'm like,
I don't care. Just say, hey, by the way, I'd like to go thrift tomorrow. I'd be like, all right, cool.
I just figured I wouldn't tell you until it was close enough because then you always forget.
That is true.
And then you'll tell me, I got so many things on my plate.
That is true, but
So then I just figured if I waited until it was a little bit closer. Because you weren't going to have a problem with it anyways.
You're right, and you're right. But I guess the courtesy of saying, I mean, honestly.
The courtesy wasn't like, I had an intention for them. What's been the lowest point in our marriage?
Really? You want that on here?
Oh yeah, I'm okay with it.
I mean, when you told me you cheated on me.
We weren't married.
I understand that, but we were like not.
Even together.
Okay.
I'm very surprised by that answer.
That, dude, like, but you lied to me.
I lied, okay.
You literally lied to me, but, I mean, that's...
So, to give some backstory on this,
I don't know that needs to be in there at all.
My initial, like, spiritual awakening, I just felt the need to come clean about a lot of things with Casey and so what he was referring to happened before him and I were...
Were you pregnant?
I was not pregnant yet, so I wasn't. Do you remember this differently? I was not pregnant yet when I went to Arizona.
Okay.
I got pregnant like a month and a half after I got back.
A month and a half, dude?
Yeah.
We were not like even at Fort Polk for like a month and a half after you got back.
Okay, so one thing about Casey is he's really bad with math, okay?
Not math.
We met Saturday, January 22nd.
Timelines. I'm terrible with timelines. I'm sorry.
The time that we're talking about right now happened in February because it was just after Valentine's Day. The Valentine's Day that I dressed up super cute and he came over to my apartment and he was like, you're not expecting to like go out or anything today, are you? And I was like, no, I'm just dressed up. We went and had burgers, which is where burger tradition came from. And I think like the following week I went to Arizona for a few days.
That's a great fucking tradition.
And I got pregnant with Viv. Okay, so not a month and a half, but it was a few weeks after I got back. And so when I came clean with that, I think one of his big things too was like, obviously if I not just lied about having been with somebody else, but also if it was his, which I think was a normal concern. And yes, she is your child.
That in 2019 when you tried to leave me for like, I don't know, the 12th time.
Sorry, that's not a chuckle, but I'll tell you that it's been a very real, like, I don't know if you would call it like a trauma response, but for me, I would go through these cycles like every 6 months or 3 to 6 months.
But just
that I was so tricked. Hold on, let me get out.
I know I'm not perfect, but I've been pretty patient. That's all I'm saying.
So have I.
I'm not saying that you haven't.
I would just be like, dude, I just can't fucking do this. Like, I'm out. And that had a lot to do with my insecurities and my just feeling. It's like, when we first met, he was still in the Army and he worked crazy long hours. And then for us to have not had a solid relationship before we got married, I was in a new place with nobody, got pregnant, had this little baby girl, and literally 3 days after I had her, he went and started playing paintball and has never stopped since then. So like, I never felt like we had a solid ground in our relationship, and we were not communicating.
Yes.
So it wasn't until 2019 that we really started having like better communication about like why he plays, or just in general talking to each other.
But that was also when I started.
It left me to a lot of like that process of just like making stories up in your head, assuming why your partner is being this way. And another thing for me too was that like sex was the only way that I felt like we had a connection, which I think is pretty valid considering that that was really our only connection at the very beginning.
We just came into like, we were in that place. Well, I mean, like, we were both in that place when we met, that we were not, like, I was
just kids.
I was on orders to move to Fort Campbell within like 2 months of meeting her, and she was getting ready to fuck, like, she was packing her shit up to move back to Arizona. So like, our whole mindset was like, let's just hang out and have a good time. And it wasn't a bad thing. It just, that, like, I think it took a while for our mindset to shift from that to being in a relationship, respecting each other and having conversations that mattered, because we didn't do that early on.
I think looking on it too now, like, we can really see how much more fruitful our relationship has been, and like life in general, like with us communicating. We've expanded so much since the time that we started doing that.
I mean, honestly, from the time that you told me I needed to go back to work, I mean, honestly, like, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of, I mean, that definitely a kickstart, I think, which is funny. That was what, 7 years in. I've only been there 3 years. Well, I guess I'm going on. No, did I just?
You're in 4 years.
So I hit 4 years this month. At the end of the month, but okay. But yeah, I mean, it's
because I was pregnant with Vida. I had just found out that I was pregnant with Vida, and I think you had only been looking for like a month before you found Palmer, right?
Man, I don't even feel like it was a month. That timing was.
That was absolutely divine timing. Like,
yeah.
Everything about that. I think honestly about so many things in our partnership too, though.
I mean, a lot of the timing stuff is, you know, the weather, the storm of being in a relationship to make it to 6 years, 7 years.
So then that's another question of like, I think there's a lot of people that stay in relationships thinking that it'll get better. And I definitely had that perspective too. But what's the difference between like weathering the storm because you think somebody will change or it'll get better, as opposed to like hanging in there? I don't know, bro.
Honestly, so I think that
Does that make sense?
I think that my experience dealing with my mother's baggage, whatever you want to label, whatever you want to call it, my experience being able to deal with that was
would have never I don't think I would have ever let you see me have like a panic attack.
I understand, but I knew when I noticed your scar. That was early on. And how long did you lie to me about that? But I get it. That's not really something that's easy to have a conversation about. I think that my patience and my ability to know that there is a lot more that you can't just force out of somebody. But I think also knowing that there was the emotional damage there. I didn't for the longest time I didn't know how to break through. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
How do you break through that barrier with somebody that you know that has those trust issues but it's not willing to talk to you about it? So I think that's one of those that we weren't able we didn't date, essentially. We didn't really get to know each other before moving 1,200 miles and buying a house and doing all this stuff together. So I think that was part of the process, honestly, more than anything, was just being able to get to know each other. And what do you think? 4 years, 5 years before you were able to start opening up?
Until
or feeling safe.
Yeah.
So I think that's, for me, with having that relationship with my mother and her being open about her trauma and seeing how that affect essentially I had fucking practice.
But see, I don't I hate that for you too though, because that was not yours to carry, and
I think that affected me too a lot as being a kid, because I was always the kid that was no, we have to be responsible, we need to do until I turned 16, 17, and then you get to that point where you're fuck that, I'm gonna and still was still responsible in some regards, but finally was just screw it, I'm letting go a little bit. And that was and I think that was a lot of that. I didn't get to have, I say I didn't get to have the childhood, but I was essentially her emotional support person. Because my dad was in the Navy and he was always out to sea, and that was usually when she was the most emotional. It was when he was not around.
For me, that's when I was most emotional, was when you were
not around playing paintball. And I think that's a lot.
And so my mind would just spin because we didn't have a...
But for me, it was very easy for me back then to say, well, I'm the man, I'm working, I'm spending all these ungodly hours with this army shit, and I deserve to go play. So I thought that it was my right, essentially, to be able to do that, because I was working so hard. And I don't think that that mindset of it was not fair to you. It wasn't fair to Viv. But I think I think a lot of that for me was juggling. It's easier for me to not, it's less work when I'm not there to with the emotional stuff.
Yeah.
So it's almost essentially well, I'm not there, I don't have to deal with it until I get back.
But you weren't dealing with it though.
What oh, Rainbow. That's weird. Is that a weird spot?
Yeah.
Is there any more?
Unless he's part of it.
I've seen quite a few of them lately too. But not dealing with it, but I wasn't dealing with it, but I didn't really know how to Like, do you just sit there? That's like when Viv's mad, you just sit there and knock on the door until she opens it, or just let her cool down?
Well, I think too that it was like, I think it was something that we both knew existed, but I was like way more invested in trying to pretend like I was normal.
And that,
because I was so afraid of like,
well, the problem is that is fucking
it's not
normal.
that I was afraid of losing you, it was that like there was a lot more writing on me being normal because we had Viv.
I know,
so,
but
like,
I think,
had to.
I think that's a biggest stigma around. I know, I see that. I think that's the biggest stigma around people not realizing that the level of abuse, I don't know how much you talk about it on here, like the level of abuse that you've gone through and endured through your life. It's unfortunately, it's fucking common. And it just fucking blows my mind how people can behave that way. I couldn't even imagine.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like looking on it now, even thinking about how often like how much I have not dealt with the things that had happened to me, that like we still had my parents coming and staying at the house up until 2020.
I mean,
no, 2019.
And I've not been a fan of that because but that's where like I kind of appreciated in a sense that like you allowed me the space to process when I was ready to process. Because I think I might have even like gotten defensive had you not been okay with me having my dad. Well, I wasn't. Well, I mean, I wasn't. I would have gotten defensive.
But at the same time, too, like that was so not healthy for me because I was constantly on like high alert.
Well, I told you how I felt about that. I did tell you how I felt about that, but you asked me to keep my shit together. So I kept my shit together.
Trauma is weird in the way that like it makes you justify things, or I don't know, the thresholds that you develop.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody experiences it, but like that's crazy to me too. Like my childhood was not perfect, and I didn't be like, but like I had a good life. I was safe. I was protected.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like, there was shit that happened along the way that definitely is like, really, like, I got a fucking like, I was literally grounded for the whole summer for getting a fucking D in geometry, and it was like. Man, I swear this, and everybody that's ever been to public school at least had one fucking teacher that was so dumb or just did not know how to teach. But like, my best friend was in my class with me, and he was an honor student. Like, all A's, was in like, I don't know, what did they call those classes, the advanced classes back then?
Oh.
Like in like all advanced classes. And he got a C in that class, and he's never got anything less than an A. And I got a D in that class, and it's not that I wasn't capable of getting good grades, just most of the time didn't give a shit. The only time I ever cared about getting good grades, was when they offered me $100 for all A's. So I got all A's, and then I had to get all A's and B's to get my driver's license. It's the only time I ever cared about my grades.
I think,
other than getting grades good enough not to be grounded for the whole fucking summer.
I think a lot of your mom's thing though, and I only say this because I recognize those parts of myself too, is like her trauma response has been like perfectionism.
Yeah.
And like if she can control everyone and everything in her environment, then everything's okay.
I think that's, goddamn, that's not. I think that's the worst thing that I've gotten from, because like I feel very like out of sorts if I'm like out of control. So that's one thing that I think has really helped me with this job, is that it's not every day is going to go exactly how I wake up and plan it, but being able to just be okay with it. Like when I first started the job, I'd spend a lot of time when something wouldn't go right or something would happen. I'd spend way too much time focusing on the fact that it was messed up instead of just fixing it and moving on.
Yeah.
So that's where like this job is definitely, because it's just me. Like I don't really work for anybody, like honestly, right? So okay, I'm just not used to it, man. But yeah, I think that's something that's forced me to grow, because that's been huge. Because now I don't even really like when something pops up, I'm just like I'm like, and then too, having the experience of doing it for 3 years, going on 4 years now, to be able to like, well, all I got to do is make sure the customer's good until I can get it back to them. And that has great, like, instead of being mad, just having the conversation with the customer. Oh wow.
We're gonna have to stop because we're going through so much rain right now. I think the rain starts.
I do like some of the trips we've taken.
I asked Casey
what has been
the best,
one of the best parts about us being together, and I said watching her grow into being a mom. But like,
I'm playing it full right now, only because I don't want to cry before we go.
But I mean, but like that also, like I just already told you, it forced you to like, that forced so much growth, it forced so much healing.
Yeah, that's where like sometimes I feel frustrated because I think to myself like, this is probably a dark thought in general, but I'll think to myself like, if I hadn't gotten pregnant, like I could have done so many things for myself before I had children. Like I would have really loved to have traveled and but I think that's really just like my perfectionism of wanting, I think that's been hard on me now, outside of like initial trauma, where I would have liked to have dealt with this stuff before we got married, before I became a mom, because I just like have so much guilt.
Yeah, I understand that, but would you have?
But then I think too, like, would I have actually addressed anything, or would I have just like buried it under like working and going to school? Like when I met Casey, I had just been accepted into ASU. My plan was to go back to school for nursing. So like, I guess you don't know what would have existed on that timeline. It probably never existed, but I still struggle with guilt sometimes, like when I'm processing. Like even this year, really, when I started taking medication, because like I felt like I had to, because I was just like struggling so much. But we have taken some good vacations. I still think the boat.
Good vacation. That was a good trip.
One of the best things. But I had so much anxiety.
I was able to.
We went to Florida and Casey rented a boat for us, kept it a secret.
Yeah, that was the biggest, I think.
And then as soon as I found out, I was just riddled with all kinds of anxiety, thinking that like him and Viv were gonna like they could get chopped up by the motor. But that's because I saw Grey's Anatomy in the episode where that girl where they call her ceviche. Because she gets like all her limbs chopped up from a boat, and it just like was in my head, and we ended up having such a good time, and I drove the boat, and it was really fun to go fast. That was a good trip.
That was a good one. I mean, yeah, we've had some really good ones.
We have. And I complain a lot about paintball trips, but we have had some fun paintball trips too.
Well, y'all have done some cool shit because of paintball. Like way, I mean, times have you been to Disney? And then fucking
on my own.
Yeah, that's what I put it. But and then take a poll of how many people have been
Probably
to Disney
one of the
more
best
than once
Disney
or twice.
trips. One of the best Disney trips was the year that I got pregnant with Ollie. Casey just gave us like, I don't even remember how much money. It was a significant amount of money. And
Didn't buy you
it was like $1,500, and at that time it was a lot for us,
bought you
okay?
a Pandora bracelet that time too, didn't I?
We went one day to Disney with Dad. He bought me a Pandora bracelet with all kinds of charms on it.
I spent like $1,200 that day.
And
That was a lot
we
of
just
money.
had such a good time. Sometimes I complain because Casey's way of like, if he can't be present like physically, or like if he wants to go do something, he'll kind of like buy his way out of it.
Hell yeah.
And I had a time period there where I was just like, it wasn't enough.
But that's my love language.
But I do like nice shit. So every once in a while that does work for me.
So, but like, I thought that worked because that was my mom's relationship with me. Like, she would just buy me shit because she loved me.
But if I don't know where I stand, buying me shit doesn't really like...
Yeah, but I mean,
it doesn't mean as much to me as like...
I understand that, but
yeah.
You're more of a time love language. So like, right?
Yeah.
And that way we had this conversation. So, I mean, I don't know. I think I'm between gifts and back scratches.
But I don't buy you gifts that often.
Well,
but I do try to buy you gifts that I know that you'll like or that you'll use.
Yeah, but I don't need gifts, like, right?
See, so he says gifts, but then he's like, I don't need anything.
But I gift myself. So if you could just up the back scratches and the head scratches.
I can't even reach you most nights.
Well, that's the problem.
Sometimes I get to hold your hand while we're sleeping.
Dude, I think we snuggled today for the first time in like 7 weeks.
And they came in there like 5 minutes.
Yeah, we maybe got 3 minutes.
We definitely need to work on our boundaries with the children.
Yes, 100%. Because that would help. I think that's the next step into our to our growth, even more than our relationship.
And I'm aware of it, so it hits different.
It's frustrating because but
the thing is that like.
So like for me though, I want to go to bed early, and y'all motherfuckers don't want to sleep because y'all get up late. Good for y'all, but it doesn't work for me.
Hey, are those called cattails or pussy willows?
Dude, I call them cattails. I've never heard them called pussy willows. What? Nothing about that looks like a pussy. I don't understand the reference.
I'm pretty sure I've only ever heard them called pussy willows.
I've never heard that term. What the fuck are they teaching out there in Arizona? Oh my god.
Sam, unfortunately, maybe like 20 minutes before we got to house, they call us and tell us that the power's out. And I was like, okay, well, we'll just figure it out when we get there. We get here, power's still out. It's so humid in there. They've got, their whole dining room is like full of people. So we have decided. Okay, so I had to switch to vlogging to my phone because my camera battery died. So update, decided that we were.
It's fucking gross out here.
Not good. He's just over here adjusting himself. Okay, so then we like couldn't decide what well, I tried to look up Circa. Circa didn't have any reservations. So we decided to get tacos, which is always a good choice.
Fuck it. Man, if I've learned anything, you gotta be flexible.
And I'd also like you guys to see Casey right now with half of
I mean,
Rice Krispie that he has just talked so much shit about the deltas, and look at them. Anyways, we came and we got taquitos, and we got flautas, carne asada tacos. I got the fish tacos.
Bro,
the fish are my favorite. And then he goes, should we just not get the family pack? You don't think they'll, because we're planning on going home now since we had a change of plans. He goes, don't you think we should just take a family pack home? I'm like, yeah, they're good in the air fryer the next day, so they won't go to waste.
I mean,
but now my mouth is so excited to dip and like.
Do you dip and drive?
No. It's too messy to do that. But we have flautas, the fish tacos.
Just take my shirt off and the
carne asada tacos. You're not gonna share the carne asada tacos with me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
those,
but yeah, they're quesadilla. Sure.
Are you not gonna share what is a flauta?
A flauta is so they're like the taquitos that we get from Costco. That's a flauta.
The ones that we make at home.
Yeah, flauta with the chicken on the inside.
I don't know. You're confusing me a little bit. We don't make anything on the inside.
The long ones.
Poop barrel or trash?
It looks that way. They're the tacos that are long like this that we get at Costco.
Oh, the ones. Oh,
that's what
the taquitos.
Yeah, but they're flautas. So they're really good, and I've never made those before. But okay, so like I don't make food like that because I feel like it's hard to keep the chicken moist because then you're rolling up the taco and then you're putting it, you gotta deep fry it. Not deep fry it, but like fry it enough to cook the tortilla. I love flautas. When you make those at home, you make them and then you put like a bed of lettuce and tomato on top of it, or aguacate, salsa, and then the crema is the one for me that I'm like so good, because when you dip your flauta in the crema, which is just like it's like a cream, but it's not really like sour. It's like really creamy.
Maybe that's what helps keep it moist.
Every time I think about how long we've been together and I flash back to how we met, it makes me so happy.
Oh my goodness. How silly was that?
To not go. I don't know what has happened to me. Like, I used to love to go out and dance and drink.
Did you?
And then I look at it now and I'm like, I would be way too overstimulated to do this shit. Like, I just would not want to be there.
I mean,
and then to have like dudes hitting on you.
I didn't ever want to be there when I was there.
That's where I say that it's like a true synchronicity that we even met, because
I did not want to go out that night.
He did not want to go out that night.
Matter of fact, that was one of my soldiers' birthdays.
And it was like...
So I went out just because I wanted them to make sure that they were safe that night, honestly.
I could not stop looking at him that night. He was so hot.
Dude, how? Shaved head, man.
Shaved head?
I always thought that was...
Hair?
Dude, I always thought the shaved head was a look for me, but man.
I don't think you knew any different until Viv roasted you.
It was not... I mean, like, I could even have longer hair, like the military cut, and it would have looked better than the buzz cut.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm like, man, I always just thought the buzz cut was it for me, but I gotta let it flow.
Yeah, you do. So anyways, we're waiting for tacos right now.
Tacos. I'm so fucking tired though.
We did look at getting an Airbnb for a couple hours.
Or a
hotel, but couldn't find anything.
I mean, it's already 8 o'clock. By the time we get food, like, kind of really like
just hit it and split.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but then I don't know. Then you're looking at another 2 or 3
So we made a deal,
out.
And this is probably TMI, but whatever. We made a deal that we're gonna eat. We came to get tacos. We would eat, and we would promise each other to stay up
until the kids
went to bed, so we could
hang out.
So it got us into this mess.
Man. So we're gonna have to figure out something with that.
Are we gonna have 4 or are we gonna have 6?
But I say this every time, like, I'm happy with my kids, I love them, but I also have enough kids to where, like, if you would stop asking me, you would stop receiving. So I really, if you don't want any more kids, I just need you to not ask.
But I gotta catch them all.
I don't really want to fucking burn my nuts, like, however that whole vasectomy process
you don't have
works.
To do that.
Like, I don't really want to wear a condom. That's too much information, I feel like. But
This is gonna be the most real of the real vlogs.
So we are a little limited in that regard. So
it's worked out pretty decent for us.
I mean, it has.
This one was just meant to be. We had tried to get pregnant in January. I had convinced him. And then we didn't get pregnant. And we literally got pregnant on 2/22/22.
This woman has it marked.
Because that was the last time we had sex. And that was oh my goodness. No, not the last time we had sex. It was, I just know that was when we had sex because of the 2/22. And we weren't actually trying to get pregnant though. Like I was just trying to get busy on the portal. And
you were not.
Surprise, shorty.
You have been talking about this non-stop though. Like it has not, like.
Yeah, because I actually tried to get pregnant to 2/22. And then I got my period just a few days after, which I was really sad about because I was like, oh, I really felt like this was the month that I was gonna get pregnant. We found out the first week of March and I was shooketh.
That's all she talks about.
But I'm so happy to be having another baby. Like obsessed. Man.
She gets into these like modes that she's just like, baby, are you sure? Baby, another baby? Are we gonna do another baby? Like, I'm just like, man.
Well, look, right now I'm feeling happy, but this pregnancy has been really,
I mean, I feel like
challenging for me.
I feel like you say that like the one before this felt easy to you, but it's like, I think that just once you have the baby is here, it's like, I guess so. Because you always act like it was like, oh, I don't remember it being bad this time. And I'm like, dude, you had some moments there, and that's okay. But yeah, it can be a challenge in a good way.
I cannot wait for that, you see like the tiny little like peach fuzz on their cheeks.
Dude,
to watch them sleeping on you and suckling, and like all of their features are so soft and tiny.
The smell of and, baby head.
The baby head, the tiny little toes, like the fact that this little being trusts you with their whole life, and like that you're their safe space to sleep, like that to me. Even still with the kids that are in the bed, like I know that we don't want them in the bed, but that to me is like, I find that so precious that for the first, well, Ollie's about to turn 6. For the first 6 years of his life though, we get to have that little boy. And I know that, so like long term, I think like, is it that big of a deal? I know. And I'm not saying that excuses to not have boundaries right now, but I think that in the like big picture of our children, like I will be okay with knowing that I let them like sleep with me, and like that was their safe space for a long time, was dad's cuddles. And not just any dad's cuddles, it has to be like just the right angle and everything. Like Ollie will straight up tell Casey that like he doesn't want
dad,
to be snuggled like that. He'll tell Casey how to lay down.
Like you gotta lay like this or lay like this, and I'm like this, this. Not gonna be.
Has it been 20 minutes already? No, not yet, right?
About 15.
Okay.
We could be a few more. Go check.
Oh, I just gotta put these shoes back on. Will you go check?
I don't know if I trust myself.
I'll drive. Oh, okay.
Drive home?
Yeah. You're lit.
No, good.
Baby. Look at your face.
My face looks like I am tired from a long week of work.